When you study human behavior with the cold precision of a strategist, you begin to understand a truth that governs friendships, romance, influence, and authority itself. People are drawn not to those who chase power, but to those who already possess it. Power, real or perceived, is a magnet. A person who stands firmly, guided by purpose rather than by the approval of others, becomes inherently attractive. And this attraction is not accidental. It is a predictable consequence of human psychology. People instinctively gravitate toward individuals who appear rooted in their own value. Someone who does not beg for attention, who does not crumble in the presence of indifference, and who does not bend just to be accepted becomes a figure of curiosity. This person radiates the impression of someone who knows something the rest do not. That subtle aura of confidence and independence triggers a response deep within others. They want to be associated with you. They want your favor. They want your acknowledgement. Because when a person commands themselves, others feel compelled to follow. Think of it this way. People do not pursue what is common, predictable, or easily available. They pursue what challenges them, what stands apart, what refuses to be swayed by the crowd. The individual who walks without seeking company seems to carry a higher purpose, a direction defined not by the world, but by inner conviction. This is why power attracts desire. It signals that you do not rely on others to validate your existence. In a world full of dependence, this level of self-reliance becomes a rare commodity. When you need no one, people assume you possess something valuable: inner strength, emotional discipline, or perhaps knowledge that shields you from the chaos that troubles everyone else. Your independence becomes an invisible banner, silently announcing that you are whole within yourself. And wholeness, true, unwavering wholeness, is irresistibly compelling. It implies security. It implies stability. It implies that you are not moved by the whims and storms that break weaker minds. Humans are drawn to leaders even when they refuse to admit it. They desire the person who moves with intention, who seems untouched by fear or desperation. People want to be near those who walk through the world as if they already know the outcome. This quiet certainty, this absence of frantic energy, suggests that you have mastered something they cannot fully grasp. In your presence, they feel a sense of possibility, and people always chase what makes them feel like they are rising, never what drags them down. People want you when you show that you do not need them, not because they wish to be ignored, but because your independence allows them to imagine a relationship based on choice rather than necessity. Needing no one does not mean rejecting everyone. It means you are free to choose who enters your life. This freedom, this control over your own circle, is profoundly attractive. It sends a powerful message. Whoever gains your time earns it, and what is earned is always valued more than what is handed out without discernment. Imagine two people, one who constantly seeks approval and another who stands tall without looking around to see who is watching. The first appears empty, as though needing others to fill the gaps within them. The second appears complete, as though they offer something instead of taking something away. Which one holds more gravitational pull? The answer is obvious. People want to draw close to strength. They withdraw from neediness. This dynamic is not cruel, it is natural. Your power may not be political power, social status, or wealth. Often it is simply the power of self-command, the ability to manage your emotions, the discipline to walk away from disrespect, the confidence to remain silent when others expect you to beg. This quiet mastery is more seductive than loud displays of dominance. Those who witness it feel compelled to understand you, to decode you, to win the approval you do not freely give. When you carry yourself as though your life is full with projects, goals, ambition, and inner direction, you signal that anyone who enters your world must bring value. This expectation awakens something competitive in people. They seek to prove themselves. They try harder. They invest more, not because you ask them to, but because they feel that your attention is a prize rather than a consolation. Power attracts desire because power represents freedom, and freedom is the one quality almost everyone secretly longs for. When you embody this freedom, freedom from needing validation, freedom from emotional dependence, freedom from fear, you become a symbol of what others wish they could be. They want to stand beside you, hoping some of that strength will transfer to them. They want your presence because your presence feels like stepping into a realm where uncertainty is replaced with confidence and chaos is replaced with control. There is a silent law that governs human attraction and social power, a law so subtle that most people violate it without ever realizing why their relationships, opportunities, and influence crumble before they can take shape. The law is this: the moment you appear to need someone, you give them the power to decide your worth. And once power shifts into another person's hands, influence slips away from yours. Neediness is not merely unattractive, it is destabilizing. It signals weakness, uncertainty, and emotional dependence, three qualities the human mind instinctively distrusts. People may claim they want openness, vulnerability, and honesty, but what they actually respond to is confidence, stability, and strength. When you place someone on a pedestal, when you chase, when you over-explain, overcommit, or overgive, you create an imbalance. You become the pursuer. They become the pursued. You signal that they are the prize, and you are the seeker. And no matter how kind, gentle, or well-intentioned someone is, they will unconsciously treat you according to the position you assign yourself. Humans are wired to move away from neediness, not toward it. Neediness implies that your emotional state depends on someone else's reactions. It suggests that you cannot stand on your own, that their presence is the anchor holding you together. This is pressure, and pressure suffocates attraction. Few people want the responsibility of becoming another person's source of worth. They may care for you, they may even enjoy your company, but the moment your happiness becomes their burden, they instinctively withdraw. Neediness is not only about words, it is energy. It's the hesitation in your voice when you fear losing someone. It's the way your messages get longer as theirs get shorter. It's the desperate attempts to patch every silence, to fix every moment of distance, to hold the connection together even when the other person is not lifting a finger. This emotional overinvestment showcases a lack of self-command, and the person who cannot command themselves cannot command respect, desire, or loyalty. People are drawn to those who appear fulfilled, even alone. When you demonstrate that your world does not collapse without someone's approval, you give off an air of independence. But when your behavior reveals impatience, insecurity, or fear of loss, others sense that you have surrendered your strength. And once that strength is gone, so is your influence. Even those who once admired you become unsure, because what they admired was the steadiness, not the dependence. Consider the ruler who begs his subjects for loyalty. The moment he begs, he loses the throne. Or the leader who demands constant reassurance, no one follows them willingly. This dynamic applies to personal relationships just as much as to politics. Authority belongs to the one who needs the least. It is not coldness that gives you power. It is composure. To influence others, you must show that your emotions are your own to govern. Allowing anyone else to dictate your state of mind gives them the reins, and they will steer away. People respect boundaries because boundaries signal that you value yourself. But when you bend every boundary to keep someone close, when you sacrifice your standards in exchange for attention, you teach others that your value is negotiable. And something negotiable is never prized. The more you try to prove yourself, the more you confirm that you doubt yourself. The more you show fear of losing someone, the more they believe you cannot stand without them. And ironically, this makes them feel less safe with you, not more. Everyone wants to stand next to someone who walks with certainty, not arrogance, certainty, the quiet, grounded assurance that your life is full with or without them. This is the energy that creates influence, but neediness does the opposite. It announces that your inner world is empty, that another person must fill it. And while people are attracted to strength, they avoid emotional vacuums. They avoid situations that pull more from them than they receive. Neediness is also rooted in fear, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, but fear is contagious. When you operate out of fear, others sense it. They begin to fear your instability, your unpredictability, your dependency. People want relationships, friendships, and connections that feel light, not heavy. They want to walk alongside you, not carry you. And the moment they sense that your happiness depends on their presence, the relationship transforms from something desirable to something burdensome. To hold influence, you must be able to walk away, not out of pride, but out of principle. The power to walk away is the foundation of all self-respect, because it means you will not betray yourself for the sake of keeping someone else. When you stay centered in this mindset, others view you as strong, even if they cannot articulate why. They feel your stability, and stability is rare. Rare things hold value, value creates desire, but neediness destroys value, and once value is lost, influence dissolves with it. There is a specific kind of presence that turns heads without effort, a presence that makes people pause, observe, and wonder what inner force you carry that they cannot quite decipher. This presence does not come from looks, wealth, or status. It comes from mastery, self-mastery. When you control your impulses, your emotions, and your desires, you create an aura around you that is more powerful than any loud display of confidence. The world is filled with people controlled by their urges, reacting to every slight, chasing every temptation, collapsing at every disappointment. So when someone rises above these instincts, when someone appears deliberate, composed, and unshakable, they become magnetic. People assume aura is something you are born with, but it is crafted, shaped through discipline, patience, and restraint. When you walk into a room without rushing to speak, without forcing laughter, without seeking validation from anyone, you project a quiet authority. Others notice the difference instantly. They sense that you are not performing, you are simply existing on your own terms. And that alone is captivating. Those who master themselves appear to move through the world with a kind of internal gravity. People orbit around them, drawn in by the mystery of someone who is not easily read or influenced. Self-mastery begins with emotional discipline. When you no longer allow anger, excitement, fear, or desire to dictate your decisions, you become unpredictable in the most intriguing way. You respond only when you choose to, not because your emotions push you into reaction. This makes others uneasy, yet deeply curious. They cannot control you through provocation, nor manipulate you with flattery, nor destabilize you with silence. You remain calm, and that calmness becomes a form of power. Society is dominated by impulsive behavior. The one who operates with intention stands out instantly. Think about how rare it is to meet someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, someone who doesn't reveal every thought, someone who doesn't chase the moment they feel insecure. This rarity makes self-mastery valuable, and what is valuable becomes desired. People want to be near those who seem unaffected by chaos because it gives them something to anchor themselves to. Even if they cannot explain why, they feel safer around someone who is not controlled by circumstance. When you control your desires, you become even more magnetic. Desire can make people act irrationally, chasing attention, affection, or approval without dignity. But when you manage your desires when you want something without needing it, you project strength. It shows you are whole, not hungry. People admire someone who chooses everything from a place of abundance rather than desperation. When you don't immediately reach for pleasure, when you don't cling to every opportunity, Others assume you have higher options or deeper purpose. They imagine a depth within you that they must earn the right to explore. This aura of self-mastery also shapes how you speak. The person who thinks before they talk, who observes before they act, who listens more than they reveal, commands respect without demanding it. Their words carry weight because they are not spilled carelessly. Their silence carries meaning because it is intentional rather than insecure. People lean in closer, trying to decipher your thoughts, because you are not constantly broadcasting them. Self-control turns even the simplest actions into statements of power. In relationships, self-mastery matters even more. When you do not react to emotional games, when you refuse to be provoked or guilted into chasing someone, when you remain grounded even when others pull away or push forward, your stability becomes enchanting. People feel the difference between someone who is moved by every shift and someone who remains standing no matter what. Stability in a world of uncertainty is irresistible. It communicates that you do not need validation, affection, or attention to maintain your sense of self. And this independence makes others want to earn their place in your life, rather than assume they already have it. Your aura also grows through discipline in habits, focus, and goals. When others see that you can control yourself, that you do not succumb to every distraction, that you commit to what you decide, they perceive you as someone with purpose, someone with direction, someone who does not drift through life hoping others will guide them. That level of self-governance inspires admiration because it hints at inner clarity. The clearer you are about who you are and what you want, the more people want to follow you, observe you, learn from you. Most people do not trust themselves, let alone trust others. But self-mastery signals that you are trustworthy, not because of what you promise, but because of what you demonstrate. Your consistency becomes its own form of influence. Your restraint becomes a message. Your control becomes a magnet. And this magnetism is not loud or flamboyant. It is subtle, slow, building, and impossible to ignore. The person who does not chase anything becomes the one people chase. The one who does not seek attention becomes the one attention follows. The one who governs themselves gains the ability to influence everything around them. In the end, your aura is not created through force. It is created through discipline, through the steady shaping of your character, through the mastery of your emotions, words, and desires. And when you achieve this mastery, people do not simply notice you. They feel you. They sense that you possess something they cannot easily obtain. Something rare, something powerful, something that sets you apart from the restless, reactive masses who wander through life without direction. There is a powerful truth most people never learn because they spend their lives clinging too tightly, speaking too quickly, showing too much too soon. The truth is this: distance is not a weakness. Distance is a strategy. And when used with intention, distance becomes one of the most effective tools of influence, attraction, and power. In every relationship, romantic, social, or professional, the person who maintains a degree of separation, a controlled space between themselves and the world, becomes the one others cannot stop thinking about, not because they are cold, but because they are not constantly accessible. Human nature leans toward what feels scarce. We crave what we cannot fully grasp. We chase what remains slightly out of reach. When someone stands too close, when they reveal every detail of their mind and heart, when they are always available, their presence becomes predictable. And predictability dissolves mystery. Without mystery, curiosity dies. And without curiosity, desire loses its fuel. Strategic distance keeps you from falling into the trap of overexposure, a trap that makes you appear common instead of extraordinary. People misunderstand distance. They think it means ignoring others, withholding affection, or playing childish games. But true strategic distance is none of these things. It is the calm decision to preserve your inner world rather than placing it carelessly into the hands of others. It is having the discipline to pause before reacting, to think before revealing, to observe before engaging. It is the ability to remain present without being consumed, interested without being dependent, connected without being entangled. When you maintain distance, people begin to assign meaning to your silence. They wonder what occupies your thoughts. They wonder where your attention goes when you're not with them. They wonder what you value, what you fear, what you desire. This wondering creates tension, the kind of mental tension that keeps you alive in their thoughts long after you've left the room. And in the realm of influence, being unforgettable is far more powerful than being constantly visible. Strategic distance also protects your energy. It shields you from becoming overly invested in people who have not earned that privilege. When you allow anyone easy access to your time, your emotions, or your attention, you unintentionally weaken your position. The world often takes for granted what is freely given, but when you offer yourself with intention, when you choose your moments, your words, your presence carefully, people notice the difference. They sense that being close to you is not something handed out casually. It is something to be valued. Distance gives you the advantage of perspective. When you step back, you see people more clearly. You see their intentions, their patterns, their strengths, their flaws. You make better decisions because you are not blinded by emotional intensity. Most conflicts, misunderstandings, and regrets come from acting too soon, giving too much, or speaking too freely. Distance slows everything down. It forces you to evaluate before you engage, and evaluation is the foundation of all power. In relationships, strategic distance creates desire, not by manipulation, but by contrast. When you are not always available, your presence becomes something others look forward to. When you do not reveal everything, your words become more valuable. When you do not chase, your attention becomes a rare currency. People invest more into what feels rare. They appreciate what they cannot predict. They pursue what they feel they might lose. This is not cruelty. It is human nature. Distance also strengthens your identity. When you're not constantly merging with the emotions, expectations, or demands of others, you remain grounded in who you are. Many people lose themselves because they give too much of their inner life away. They adapt, conform, and shrink to fit into the spaces others create for them. Strategic distance prevents this erosion. It allows you to remain whole, and wholeness is deeply attractive. Wholeness signals that you do not rely on others for validation, and this independence sparks admiration, curiosity, and respect. Even in leadership, distance is essential. A leader who becomes too familiar loses authority. A leader who reveals every doubt loses followers. But a leader who maintains a calm, measured distance commands attention. People trust them because they seem steady, controlled, and composed. Strategic distance does not isolate you. It elevates you. It gives weight to your decisions and significance to your presence. Those who master distance understand timing. They know when to step forward and when to step back. They know that silence can speak louder than words. They know that not responding is sometimes the most powerful response. They know that allowing someone to miss you is more effective than trying to convince them of your value. And they understand that distance is not the opposite of connection. It is what makes connection meaningful. The paradox of human nature is simple. The more space you take for yourself, the more people want to enter your world. The more you protect your inner life, the more others long to understand it. The more unpredictable you are in your availability, the more people pay attention when you do appear. Strategic distance turns your presence into a privilege, your attention into a gift, and your silence into a mystery. In the end, everything you seek from others, respect, desire, admiration, loyalty, does not come from chasing, pleasing, or proving. It comes from power, and power begins within. When you learn to move through the world without dependence, when you master your emotions, when you value your presence, when you guard your inner world with discipline and intention, you transform yourself into someone others gravitate toward instinctively. You stop fighting for attention and instead command it. You stop trying to be chosen and instead choose. You stop bending to the expectations of others and instead stand firm in your own design. People want the fortress, not the door that swings at every touch. They want the person who can walk alone, not the one who collapses without company. They want the mind they cannot predict, the heart they must earn, the presence they cannot ignore. This is the essence of power, self-sufficiency that attracts self, mastery that intrigues, distance that elevates,